Hey folks, welcome to the character creation video for my upcoming Let's Play of Romance of the Three Kingdoms 14. I'm Serious JG. I want to make some things clear off the bat. This never seems to work, but I'm trying to make sure everyone understands from jump. There will be no gameplay in this video. I'm walking through the character creation process so that people can submit characters for a Let's Play I'm going to do. The people who are eligible to submit characters are people who donated over a certain amount during Zerfall, the fellow Let's Players charity stream a couple of months ago, so you probably know who you are. If you're somebody who can't submit a character for this Let's Play because you didn't submit, you weren't part of this charity giving opportunity, which is now closed, you really don't need to watch this video unless you're interested in seeing the character creation process walked through, because there's not going to be gameplay. I try to make that clear every time I do one of these, but like years after the fact, I always have somebody show up in the comments like, I can't believe this guy talked for 30 minutes and he didn't have any gameplay. What the hell? Like, no, there will be no gameplay in this video, okay? And, if you think it would be funny to get in the comments and make that exact comment, yeah, funny thought. You had the thought. There's no need to put it into action because I'm probably not going to see the humor of it. It just gets old after a while. So, now that we started things off all grumbly, yeah, so the basic idea was Zerfall, fellow Let's Player, and a good friend, snappy dresser and a good friend. He does a charity stream every year where, generally speaking, myself and Bobo the Vulture and other Let's Players out there, Ald, Dragon, Lethal Feline, Grimmeth, Reaper, like, J2J, John, Jeremy, and like various different people get involved some years to different extents. And the last many years, now several years, I've tried to do something where, hey, it's an incentive for people to donate for his charity stream he does every year to fight MS. I always say, well, next time I do a Let's Play, as I'm known to do, of the lengthy Koei strategy games, usually Romance of the Three Kingdoms or Nobunaga's Ambition, which allow you to create officers. I will create officers for people who donate over a certain amount. I think it was the people who donated over $100 this year. I don't remember for absolute positive. And then I'll play through the game. And so far, we've had good luck with this. I've always managed to conquer China or Japan eventually. Sometimes it takes longer than others, depending on which game is being played. And I had to crank up how much you had to donate, because like one year I just had 20, 30 something people submitting characters, and it was a lot of work for me to create them all. So before we get started, some basic, here's what I think we're going to be doing. Everybody, I've done it where you could choose what force you want to be on. I've done it where you could choose to be on a random force. I think just this year, just for simplicity's sake, when you create a character, they will be on my force. That usually works out for the best anyway, because people created characters they wanted to roleplay as, like, in Nobunaga's Ambition. Oh, I want to work for, the Tiger of Kai, the famous Shingen Takeda, and I was playing as Masamune Date, and, they... Actually, no, I don't think that was the year. But anyway, like, yeah, you can say, I want to fight for this specific force, because, like, that was my favorite general of the period, and then I never fight that force because they get defeated by a neighbor before I expanded to that part of the country. Stuff like that happened where people, like, I would try to do videos occasionally where I went to the menus and just checked and saw what rank and title have different created officers earned. But by and large, if you weren't in my force, you just didn't show up that much. So everybody's going to be on my force. If you've got a really strong opinion or something you'd really like to see, throw it in the comments and I'll consider it. But I had been saying I wanted to play as Yuan Shu. He's one of the sort of the villains of the novel, really slippery, duplicitous ruler. Many years ago, somebody asked me to play through Romance of the Three Kingdoms 11 using Yuan Shu, and I didn't, because I just spent a lot of time on RTK 11 at that point and wasn't looking to play it anymore at that moment. But yeah, because I've done, over the years, I've been Wei Wu and Shu. I played through as Lu Bu's forces. I played through as a created force. And yeah, I'm just like looking for something different to do. And playing as Yuan Shu, I played as Yuan Shao's forces once. Yuan Shu I thought would be interesting. Other people I considered was Ma Tang, and it could potentially be fun to play as like Gong Zung Zan. I've never played through as Dong Zhuo, although Dong Zhuo is really easy to win the game with unless... because he's defeated by like a plot. Like if you don't trigger... this game lets you choose to trigger or not trigger historical events. So if you just never trigger the event where Lu Bu betrays Dong Zhuo and murders him, Dong Zhuo is a really overpowered faction that can win the game easily. So that wouldn't be particularly challenging to play as Dong Zhuo. But I thought I would play as Yuan Shu, and we could play as Yuan Shu really in two different... there's some DLCs. I got all the DLCs. One of them is the Lu Bu campaign. So there's a special campaign centered around playing as Lu Bu, where Yuan Shu would be an important figure. But it's really designed for playing as Lu Bu, and there weren't really that many cool things that Yuan Shu can do in this one, because Lu Bu will eventually turn on him and gobble him up. And there were some fantasy ones, like, one of them was, one of them I thought involved, the Yuan brothers teaming up, which historically they kind of tended to be enemies of each other. I don't know, but I wanted to play one of the historical, potentially historical ones. So they've got historically based ones that are just tweaked around, you know, playing as, I'm already just like going off on tangents. This is going to take way too long. I figured I would either play as Yuan Shu in the anti-Dong Zhuo coalition, which is tricky because Yuan Shu starts out very close to Dong Zhuo, who is by far the most powerful force on the map, and he's hostile to everyone else. Yuan Shu is part of a coalition to defeat Dong Zhuo, but it would be quite potentially dangerous and difficult to expand. You're not going to be able to beat Dong Zhuo, and you probably can't depend on the rest of the coalition to back you up that much. So it's all about staying alive and expanding your territory before your fellow coalition members can gobble up cities, while you're still allied with them, grabbing as much power as you can, while holding your own and staying alive against Dong Zhuo, and eventually the historical events will trigger that will knock out Dong Zhuo. The other logical campaign is Warlords. By this point, Yuan Shu is no longer at Wan, he is now at Shouchun, so he's much farther east. But he's got Sun Ce underneath him, well, to the south. Liu Biao is nearby, Cao Cao, Liu Bei, and Lu Bu, and all of those forces are potentially hostile to you. And if you follow historical events, which I would try to do, where the whole point and fun of playing as Yuan Shu is that he's just like this, he's this scumbag. So he gets his hands on the Imperial Seal and declares himself Emperor, because he's basically this deluded fool. And that turns everyone in China against him, and he gets crushed. So that would be a fun campaign to play, but it might be really difficult to win. I played around a little bit off screen with trying to get going on this, and the real problem I had is that I was going to try to ally with the other great villain, Lu Bu, which was something that actually in history they kept trying to ally with each other, but they didn't trust each other, and they both kept screwing it up. And that's kind of what happened. I couldn't get Lu Bu to actually side with me. And while Cao Cao and Liu Bei didn't work together to take us out, like, it was difficult to expand. But I think that's what I'm going to try to do. I'm going to try to use a bunch of created officers to kind of... high-talent created officers kind of turn the game into easy mode a little bit sometimes. So you can be in a situation that's just so untenable that you can't get out, no matter what. But having some really high-end created officers might make it possible. And I might delay declaring myself Emperor until after I've knocked out at least one of my major enemies and threats. But yeah. Let's get into the actual creation of a new character. And we'll do it by actually looking at created officers that I've already created. So off screen, knowing how busy they are, well, I worked together with Falger and created a Goofy Mustache officer for Falger. But that video kind of didn't make it. So that video fell apart and had some technical issues. We were doing that around the time my computers were all blowing up, and that video was lost to time. But we did make the officer. I just couldn't the recordings were not usable. And I made Vulture Bean and Vulture Bobo. And I think that's going to be it. I don't think I'm going to go making characters for anybody else who doesn't actually want to submit a character. In the past, I've made characters just because Lethal and Grimmeth were part of the stream. This time, I think if you want to be in, submit your character, and I'm not going to just, you know, make characters except for once we're submitted. This might be a good point for me to point out. I've got the names. These are the people who actually submitted characters, not submitted characters. These are the people who donated enough. The usernames, they're not in any particular order, but they donated enough. So if you are one of these usernames who donated to that charity event, then you can submit a character. I'm not expecting all these people to, because some of these people are just people from Zerfall's real life who donated. But I did get, Zerfall gave me the list of people. So I'll read that right now. It's Froxus820, Deckeye, Anonymous. Well, that's going to be hard to work with. Dachshund of Doom, Geedsboy, Aunt Ruth and Uncle Walter. So Aunt Ruth and Uncle Walter, if you guys want to submit a character, please do so. Ghislaine de Blois, I'd probably reading that wrong. Toll Panzer, Cyborg Pride, Laurentian, Lord Ink Death 27, Bob Jackson, The Unknown, Mom-in-Law, Gerald McDowell, All Dragon, Kazuhiro Samadesu, StoneCon, Angamarand, Fatal Alex, Eccentric AU, Lethal Feline, Laxtotis, Bits and Subs, Bonnery, Earl King, Lord Smappy, Shaman, and myself. So, any of you guys want to submit a character, please make sure that you kind of identify yourself by that username. Just even if that's not your YouTube account name, then reference that's who you are. And, you know, come on, guys, don't cheat here. If you didn't submit, don't pretend to be Aunt Ruth and Uncle Walter. That's just rude. It's a charity. Let's not con anybody here. Anyway, all right. So, let's go through and look at JG Mystery. So you can see he's got an awesome explosion behind him. First thing you're going to want to do is give me the portrait that you want. So, for portraits, we have original officers. We are not going to use historical 1, 2, or 3. Man, this thing's running a little weird. Common, I don't think we'll use either, even though some of these are pretty sweet. But we're going to work with, oh, we got special, huh? So we just have special. So for special, if you want any of the portraits from special, I'm calling it starts with Oda Nobunaga, because I know that's from a different game. And these guys may be from, they may show up in the game as special officers that you can unlock. Like Leon Poe, I know he does. I unlocked them by doing tutorials. So, the special, and it's easy, it's actually got the name. If you want to be one of these portraits, just tell me the name of the portrait that you want. Tell me it's under special. Like Taigen Sesai. I almost went with him for Zerfall because of the Baldo bit. We've got a special, oh, that's not going to work because we got additional special portraits here. So I'll tell you what, if you want to be one of these named portraits from Oda Nobunaga, Takeda Shingen, Kenshin Uesugi, Motonaru Morimori, Sesai Taigen, Naotora Yi, Genghis Khan, Jamuka, Borte, Latch, Kublai, or Yelu Chuchakai, let me know. Otherwise, I'm thinking these portraits belong to Romance of Three Kingdoms figures, so I'm thinking they're off limits. I should have inventoried this more closely before we started. I think these are all RTK officers, so I'd rather you guys didn't use the RTK portraits for other people. Like, these are alternates of different guys. So really, we're going to stick... You've got those. If you really want to, you can do one of those Nobunaga's Ambition slash Genghis Khan people. Otherwise, we're going to be the original officers. So I'll go through the portraits so you can see them, but you're going to want to tell me what column number and what row. Columns go up and down, rows go left and right. And give me your first 3 choices in order in case somebody else already has one. Like, you know, if you wanted this one, you couldn't have gotten it, so you'd have to give me an alternate. Alright, so it's your column 1, row 1, column 2, row 1, column 3, row 1, column 4, row 1, column 5, row 1 is already occupied. That's JG Mystery. What am I doing? That's not the first row. I'm sorry. Starting order. So this is column 1, row 1, column 2, row 1. All Dragon has chosen that one in the past, so we might see him pick it this time. Column 3, row 1, column 4, row 1, column 5, row 1. Here is row 2. Some of these you'll recognize from past Let's Plays. Here is row 3. Kind of an imitation Jihao Dune there. That's a nice portrait there. I like that one. Row 4, starting with Vulture Bobo. We've got some kind of ninja. And some other guys. Row 5, we got the various olds. Row 6, got some more like minister type guys. Row 7, that's the one that has JG Mystery in it. Row 8, I think Earl King had that portrait one year if I'm not mistaken. Row 9, jovial looking fella. Row 10. Row 11. Get into our more warrior looking guys. I've lost count now. Sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That was 11. So row 12. Back to minister looking guys. 13, more warrior looking guys, including Fatso. 15, 16, 17. Falger is in 17, 18, 19. It's a particularly demonic looking guy in 19 if you want to be demon warrior. 20, and 20 is where we get the first female portrait. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. It was a Jaxor's portrait one year, I think. 26. 27. It's Vulture Bean. 28. 29. 30. 31. Be really small children in some of these portraits. 32. And 33. I like that one, actually. Feel free to be female even if you are a male in real life and vice versa. We're role-playing here. You can do what you want, basically, on that one. So then I'll need you to give me a name, last name, and then first name, bearing in mind that in-game it's going to appear in that order. I made myself JG Mystery because it's a long-standing thing. In previous games, I tried to be Mysterious JG, and it reversed the order of the names. But in this game, if you do first name... What am I doing? Damn it. Get back in there. In this game, if you do first name JG... No, oh, sorry, it is. Last name, first name. So that, bear in mind, last name will appear first. So last name JG, first name Mystery appears as JG Mystery. Then doctrine or policy. This affects... I don't think this matters unless you're the ruler. But you can choose to be noble. You can choose might, unfettered, local, fame, or Confucian. And you're not going to be the ruler, so it's not going to matter. But if you have a preference, go ahead and pick a doctrine. You can read the descriptions on the screen if you want to. But noble, might, unfettered, local, fame, or Confucian are what you have. And it affects certain things in game, but again, only the ruler's doctrine will matter. And the ruler, I believe, I might change my mind, but I think we're going to play as Yuan Shu's forces. This is a game where you play as the entire force, not as an officer. Policy. This is an interesting one. This actually is in administration. You can, like we have like a force governance thing where we can use policy points to implement your policy, and your character will have the one policy you can do. And basically you get to pick one, and that's... if you pick one, and I may or may not use it depending on whether I find it useful. So JG Mystery is a domestic officer. He has promote areas, which is domestic. Speed of development due to area overseers is increased. You can also do strengthen fish, arrow, goose, ring, crane, snake. These are all formations. So if we use that policy, it means forces, our armies using those formations will be strengthened. Strengthen siege weapons. Reorganize military. Morale limit for cities and units are increased. Reorganize supply lines. I'm just going to read the titles and let you read the explanations for yourself depending on your level of interest. So develop transport, develop facilities, develop shipbuilding, research fire attacks, research terrains, research adherence, eliminate invasions, trickery. We're getting into schemes now. Prepare register, domestic one. Increase in troops due to recruitment overseers rises. Tour areas, repeat orders, expand castle walls, thorough government, reform expenditures, train engineers, Imperial Academy, herbal medicine, strengthen armed forces, pen and sword, produce the effects of all support policies, foil the enemy, produce the effects of all scheme policies, for the people, produce the effects of all domestic policies, take the initiative, produce the effects of all personnel policies. And there's more information on triggered effect. As you get into different levels, it does different things. Most of them just do one thing. But these fancy ones down here, if I have multiple officers pushing the same policy to the highest level, it will increase morale, officer experience, whatever. Policy level. This is kind of a strange one. It's the higher the level of the policy, the more policy points I would need to spend it. So I have less flexibility if it's level 5. Because I might want to get like a level 2 and a level 3 going of different things, but the more effective it is. So it's kind of strange. It'll make sense as we get into the game later. But just pick a number between 1 and 5. And if you're like, I'll have a limit to how many people I can use at a time, but I'll also have a limit to how many points I can spend. So it'll make sense when you see it, but like, I wanted JG Mystery to be expensive, but also somebody I would probably be using a lot, because he's like a high-end domestic officer. So you might want to go with fewer points. Then there's our character. Choose male or female, then choose your tone, which I think is just your voice. I went with normal. Oh, somebody asked me to change the vocal settings to Chinese. I think I'll do that, actually, but let's just test it out with the Japanese. So, brutish. Heroic. Brave. Dignified. Arrogant. Polite. Strategic.
守備は上々です。
And crafty.
もらった。
Or normal.
任せてくれ。
You can also be female, in which case you can be brave,
手を貸すわ。
wise,
とどめです。
bewitching.
よろしくね。
I don't feel like the voices sounded that different. The lines were different or normal.
任務は成功です。
So, those are your choices. Then you get ability. So, never do math in your head. But there is a specific number of points. Everybody is going to be well above average as far as how good an officer you are, based on how many points you have to distribute. I'm not even gonna try. I'm gonna end up embarrassing myself. I did good math kind of on screen in Yakuza recently with the quizzes, but I don't want to press my luck. So 85 plus 30 plus 95 plus 95 plus 95. I want to say it was 400, yeah. So you got 400 points to work with, which essentially means you could, and you can give yourself less than 400, but no more than 400. And you could just choose a dump stat, give yourself 100 in everything, 99 in something, and 1 in a class, if you wanted to. As far as what they do, it's a little tricky. Leadership, I think, impacts how much damage your forces deal in battle, but it also affects, I think it might affect how well you do if you are placed in charge of recruiting troops. Strength is, I feel like it's a replacement for the old war stat. It affects how well you do in duels, but it also, I think, it either affects how good you do at drill, or it might affect how good you are at increasing order. Intelligence affects how good you are at using tactics in battle, or plots. Yeah, strength is somehow connected with how well, how much damage you do using strategic plots or tactics. Intelligence affects the success rate of plots in battle and out of battle, and it affects your ability when you're assigned to domestic duties that involve commerce, like making money. Pull seems to be connected pretty much entirely to farming, but farming's important. And then charisma affects how good you are at diplomatic stuff. So I'm just role-playing as somebody who's like not a buff war guy, but is overall like scholarly and capable. So he has a good, like a really good, but not fantastic leadership. Excellent at all of the civilian things, like, you know, commerce, organizing farming, diplomacy, and weakness is strength. Because that's just the character I usually sort of roleplay as in these games. And you can go from 1 to 100. I think you might have the ability through experience throughout the game to raise those stats. Then we got traits. I'm going to uncheck. So what I'm going to do is just read through all the names. You can pause and read the explanations, because I know some of you are going to put a lot more work into this than others who are just like throwing in a few things and having fun with it. So Strategy Master is going to be one of mine, but also Sojourner, overall Instrumentalist, and Promoter. Some of these traits are negative. Be advised, like Zhang Fei has the like heavy drinker perk. It's not really a perk, it's a negative, but it is a trait. If you want to roleplay as a certain character, keep an eye out. So they could be wicked, villainous, discerning, divine eye, voracious, fire god, soaring general, swift, dependable, divine power, yellow skies, brave general, vigorous, divine general, sleeping dragon, young phoenix, dash, annihilator, longbow, defense, wall breaker, inventive, veteran general, brave leader, steel general, commanding general, tactful, crafty, cunning, schemer, afferent, sorcerer, single-minded. Bear in mind, like sorcerer, at the start of the next turn, the morale of enemy units within a specific range is decreased. It doesn't mean you literally get to cast spells. But, you know, so bear in mind, like, if you want to really carefully think about how effective you'll be in battle, pause and read the explanations. Otherwise, just have fun and pick ones that sound fun to you. Single-minded, uplifting, poetic, furious, thrifty, colonizer, indefatigable, calm, disciplined, dauntless, composed, famed mirror, rouser, dissuasive, provocative, repressive, sharp-tongued, Fire Attacker, Disarmer, Prudent, Castle Builder, Glory, Heroic, Duelist, Supplier, Transporter, Overseer, Rejuvenator, Water Warlord, Mountain Warlord, Forest Warlord, Wuhan, Jianbei, I'm probably pronouncing the Chinese ones wrong, Jiangnu, Qiang, Shanwei, Nanman, Poison Proof, Tengjia Armor, Stone Soldier, Warrior, Capturer, Bodyguard, Kinsman, Auspicious, Vantage Ground, and Courageous. But then I've got ones I can't get, which is weird. Gorgeous, Tainted Woman. Oh, because they're for females only, and Supportive. Men cannot be supportive, by the way. Don't even try. Rearguard, Famous, Lawful, Cultured, Tax Collector, Agriculturist, Enlightened, Minister, Summoner. I have become a summoner. Drillmaster, Recruiter, Insightful, Debater, Planner, Encouraging, Wuhan Ally, Jianbei Ally, Qiang Ally, Shangyue Ally, Nanman Ally, Fortune Teller, Stout, Mender, Doctor, Contriver, Wealthy, Harvester, Attendant, Cornerstone, Unselfish, Robust, Latent, Chronicler, Scholar, Mobilizer, Wise, Helmsman, Popular, Benevolent, Flame Queller, Smasher, Reckless, Cautious, Ambitious, Downcast, Extravagant, Shaken, Vicious Drinker, Rash, Heedless, Waverer, Irritable, Straightforward, Notorious, Bandit, Haughty, Indolent, Greedy, Delicate, and there you go. So, again, you can assign up to 5. You don't have to assign all 5. Just don't ask me to pick them for you. That's the only thing I'm not going to do. I don't want to go through all of them thinking about how you're less playing. So just... you're role playing. So just pick 5 or pick however many you're going to pick. Or say you don't want any traits. But I would recommend you just pick, 3 at least based on words that sound kind of neat. And if you're worried about it, it's like, oh, I would like to be a... I think Unselfish sounds like it would be a fun thing to roleplay as, and then you can check and see if that means that you're terrible. Now we got Tactics. This one was tough for me. I picked like so many and then realized JG won't be in battle that much anyway. This game you have a lot of strategic control. You don't have tactical control. So when units are in battle, it's not like some of the previous RTK games where you really zoom in and command individual units. No, you basically... it's a higher level strategy thing, so like you don't even trigger the tactics. They have a chance to trigger if, depending on the stats of your officer. Which means it's not worth going to tons of effort to pick these out, but you can pick up to 10, so let me just read the names. And you can pause and read the effects if you want to. These are either associated with strength or with intelligence, so bear that in mind. So the plots are intelligence. Some of these are more like strength. So if you want to be, doing like Heaven's Warrior, make sure you have high strength because it's more likely to trigger and it'll be more effective. So we have Jeer, Wise Counselor, Thousand Plans. Excuse me, Extreme Blaze. Whoa. Ingenious Scheming, Tower, Ram, Catapult, Inspire, Inscrutable Schemes, Inflame, Charge, Surprise Attack, Volley, Fire Arrows, Shuko-Nu, which are like kind of weird ancient Chinese siege weapons, Rally, Iron Wall, Warcry, Check, Shout, Disturb, Inferno, Restrained, Disorder, Provoked, Cure, Calm, Expel, Storm, Rain of Arrows, Towering Aura, Flawless Arrow, 8 Gates, Peerless Strength, Daunting Stance, Implacable Liao, 100 Battles, Expedition Ingress, Virtuous Speed, Silent Death. Don't I look like Silent Death? White Cavalry, Yellow Bravebeard. Some of these you can tell are for a specific person, like the White Cavalry or Gongzung Zan. Yeah. Tiger's Claws, Tiger's Roar, Deep Tiger Uppercut, Deep Discernment, Brush and Blade. Tiger Uppercut is not a real strategy, by the way. Brush and Blade, Battered Body Ruse, Heavenly Deception, Brocade Assault, Rushing Thrust, Wisdom's Fortitude, Tiger Bow, 300 Corpses, Fake Castle Plot, Radiant Thrust. I think Zerfall went with that one just because he liked the name. God Bow, Mirrored Waters, Linked Fetters, Tactical Improvisations, High Spirits, Rebel Blade, Loyal Bravery, Iron Rush, Dragon Carnage, Tiger Wings, Mountain and Seas, Poison Wine, Unstoppable Strike, Slash and Run, Formation Defect, Yuan Majesty, Gale's Tumult, Gale's Thunder, Yuan Glory, Baima's Duty, Heaven's Punishment, Barbarian Howl, Fire God's Blade, Resolute March, Refining Ruse, Brave Advance, Indomitable Tenacity, Silent Resolution, Farsighted Design, Great Peace Magic, War God, Enemy of All, which sounds bad, but that was Zhang Fei's skill, and it's really pretty powerful. Heaven's Warrior, Strength of Way, Talent and Virtue, Lone Horseman, Divine Stratagems, Great Tiger Plot, Transcendent Fire, Beauty's Dance. And bearing in mind, like, you can't control when these trigger, they just happen. And then Formation. You can pick 5 different formations to be able to use. So I'll just read the names again. You can read the explanations. Fish, Arrow, Goose, Ring, Crane, Snake, Owl, Tower, Ram, Catapult. There's your formations. How much time and effort you want to put into tactics and formation will depend. Like, if you want to be a domestics officer, you can probably not spend a lot of time worrying about that, but you are going to want to worry about your traits and abilities for sure. Now for individual, lifespan, let me know how long you want to live, because I'm going to set you to be the right age, birth age, to be in whichever one I pick, and I think we're going to do Warlords, but we might do Anti-Dongzhuo Coalition. And again, if you have a really strong opinion, let me know. Lineage, I don't think I'm going to mess with that for people. I've got Vulture Bobo and Falger as my sworn siblings. Confidants, I didn't bother because I don't really know what this does. You can set up to 8 confidants from original officers. I don't even know if you can use... No, you can use created officers too. So, yeah, I mean, if you want to pick some officers, go ahead. Like, if you have favorite officers from the novel or the games or history. Or if you want to be a confidant of Vulture Bobo, or if you want to be a confidant of Yuan Shu, the ruler of the Force. And then adversaries, you can pick those too. You can have up to 8. I just gave myself Sworn Brother Falger, Sworn Brother Vulture Bobo. Since I don't really know what confidants does, I think it might boost your ability. Like, if you and your confidant are both in battle together, like, tactics might occur more often or be more powerful. Maybe. I really don't know what adversaries does. I'm not all that worried about it. So there you go. That wasn't the longest of these videos I've ever done. It would have been if I had read the descriptions of all those different things. But yeah, we will back out of there. As a comparison point, like, Vulture Bobo is a different type of officer. I wanted him to be the ultimate warrior, so to speak. I didn't give him 100 intelligence because Bobo's a really smart guy, and I'm not saying I'm smarter in the real world than Bobo, but roleplay-wise, I always had him being like, "Oh, I'm Savage Warrior, man." So having him be fairly clever was fun and all, but, you know, I didn't want to make him a dummy, but yeah, it was much more important to have 100 in war and 100 in strength, and I didn't want him to be, like, constantly falling for every plot, but he's not particularly good at, like, organizing farming. But his tactics, you can see, I was using stuff like sneaky stuff, but he's got stuff like Yuan Majesty and Yuan Glory, which I gave him because they have the name Yuan in them, and I wanted him to be an officer Yuan Shao. But he's also got stuff like Barbarian Howl and Iron Wall, so, you know. If you want to jump in and have fun with this thing, presumably you do, or you wouldn't be watching the video. Like, if you donate $100, the idea of having a character in this thing, yeah, have a little sense of who you want your character to be. Something people have done in the past, which I always enjoy, but I'm not going to, like, you know, I can't force anybody to do this. But in some of the Nobunaga's Ambition games, people were actually putting comments where they were just, like, kind of writing their own fan fiction of what their created character was doing during certain events. And that's always fun to read. I remember somebody was doing those and then trailed off, and I felt bad. Like, I don't know if they got busy or they just lost interest, but either way, like, 20-something videos of it, and then they just stopped. But, yeah, like, if you're really into it, take your time and read what the tactics and the traits are. And if you're just not that into it, I'd like you to submit a character anyway. For those of you on that list that I read, and I'll try to remember to timestamp in the description. So I'm gonna give people like, I don't have a set time, but I'm gonna wait till, you know, it'll be at least a week, probably more, but I'm gonna wait until I've got most of what I think I'm gonna get, and then I'm gonna make these characters, and I'm gonna post another video where I walk you through the characters who were created, and that will be an opportunity for people who created a character to tell me if I got anything wrong. Like, for example, the portraits have been an issue in the past. You know, it's like, oh, if I made a mistake in reading the columns and the rows, or somebody made a mistake, they could get a portrait that isn't the one that they meant to get. But yeah, so no sooner than 1 week from now, probably more than that, significantly more than that, I'll do a video where I've made created officers. But submit your created officers below, provide all the information that I requested. If you don't care about abilities, you need to fill out, and for traits, you need to have you're going to need to have a policy, and traits and tactics and formations. If you don't want to go to a lot of work there, just pick 1 or 2 of each. For formation, actually, I'd tell you to pick all 5. But that's not too hard. There's only like 9 formations, so you're really just picking 4 that you're not going to be good at. But for traits and tactics, at least pick like 2 or 3. And the one thing I won't do is pick them for you. Like, if you can't be bothered to pick, you're just not going to have any. But I'd recommend you just throw in a few. And you definitely want to pick a policy. You only got to pick 1, so pick a policy. You have to pick a doctrine. I'll pick a doctrine for you if you don't pick one, I guess. But the doctrines don't matter anyway. For our characters. But there you go. That's it. So I hope people enjoy. This one might be tough. I think I'm thinking if we just can't get off the ground with Yuan Shu, so people don't feel ripped off, I'll play again in another scenario using the same created officers. So nobody feels like they donated $100 and like 10 videos in we get beat. Because I'm not going to save scum to make things go easily. But I do anticipate this one being somewhat challenging based on just the fact that Yuan Shu is surrounded by enemies. But I'm looking forward to it. I hope you are too. And yeah, for those of you submitting characters, good luck and have fun. And for those of you not sure why you watch the whole thing, but you know, maybe next time, maybe you'll buy this game for yourself and do a created officer. I don't know. But I hope you didn't watch this whole thing anticipating gameplay, because I was pretty clear on that. Anyway, I will catch you guys next time for another video, which won't have gameplay, but there will be gameplay eventually, and there will be a lot of it. Bye, guys.